to complete it, and the thought was, they have to be absolutely nuts. Why would you want to do something that crazy? But as I watched the athletes coming across that finish line, I was just drawn into the human drama. But these people who looked very ordinary were doing this amazing, extraordinary event called the Ironman. And about 2 weeks after I saw that race on television, I thought, you know what? I want to go there and see if somehow I could cross that amazing finish line. Now, in 1982, it was a very easy process to get into Ironman. You called up the Ironman office, they sent you the application, you sent it in with a check and a photo, and you were in. As you know, very different than it is today. 6 months later, I was on the start line of that incredible event. At about 5 minutes to 7, I was floating in Kailua Bay with about 1,000 other athletes who were all there hoping to finish the race. And really, nobody from first to last knows what it's going to take to complete that day. We all train. When the gun goes off, you just never know what's going to happen. Now, out of those 1,000 athletes, there's one that I want to highlight for you because he became my toughest challenge to becoming the Ironman champion. It was that gentleman named Dave Scott. Now, in 1982, Dave was recognized as the best Ironman distance triathlete in the world. He won the race once. He was coming back hoping to win his second title. And Dave is one of those guys that is absolutely committed to doing everything he possibly can to have his best race. He had the best equipment that money could buy. He had a sports physiology degree from his university at UC Davis. He knew how to get his body fit. He was impeccable with his diet. As an example of what he would do, Dave in 1982 was a vegetarian, but he knew that endurance athletes needed a lot of protein. So to get the protein his body needed, he ate a lot of cottage cheese. Well, I think cottage cheese is pretty healthy on every diet that you see in restaurants. Dave felt like cottage cheese had too much fat in it, so before he would eat his cottage cheese, he would stick it in a strainer and he would rinse it. If I'm going to win the Ironman, I've got to be the guy who's willing to rinse his cottage cheese. Well, in 82, I wasn't thinking about winning. I was just hoping that somehow I'd be able to cross the finish line later in the day. The cannon sounded, all 1,000 of us headed out for the 2.4 miles of swimming. The course is lined with a long string of big orange floating buoys that mark the shortest distance from the start to the turnaround boat halfway through. Now, as you know, endurance athletes do have some smarts, and we all knew that that shortest distance was right next to that line of buoys, so all of a sudden, 1,000 people are all trying to get on the freeway at once. And I was getting jammed and poked and shoved and held into the water, and I thought, I'm going to die in the opening moments of this stupid sport. And I totally panicked. And I started sprinting. The only thing I could think of was just try and sprint away from the other athletes. Probably not the best strategy to sprint the opening moments of the day that we did in 17 hours, but that's all I could come up with. Finally, as I got close to the turnaround boat, I found an open spot next to the buoys. I found another athlete who was cutting a steady course through the water, and I thought, all right, this is the only time you're going to do this thing, just try and relax and enjoy it. We made the turn, we headed back to the second half of the swim, and I thought, I wonder where the leaders are. So I stopped to tread water for a second, and I looked up, and the only guy I could see was the guy whose feet I was on, and I thought, man, those top guys are so fast, they're so far ahead, I can't even see them. When I came out of the water, still on the feet of this guy that I've been following now for about half the swim, we passed under the timing clock, which gives you your swim split and also your position in the race when you pass under the clock. When I went under the clock, I looked up, and the number next to my time was -2. I was on the feet of the leader of the Ironman. Boy, this is a pretty good sport now. I thought, who am I following? I ran over, I looked, and who would guess who I was following? Dave Scott, the best guy in the world. Now I'm ecstatic. We threw on our cycling clothes. We headed out for 112 miles of biking. Halfway through the bike ride, I was still with Dave Scott, the best guy. We made the turn at Hobby. We headed back, and I could see that we had a 5-minute gap on the next competitor. I'm with the best guy in the world. We have this huge gap. ABC is filming this. My friends back home are going to see me on TV. I had never talked to Dave Scott before, so I figured